Although I've never made this no-bake caramel cookie cake before, I think it's going to turn out really well. This is a vanilla version of Chocotorta de Oreo, a no-bake Oreo cake from Argentina. A lot of people have made that recipe of mine and they've all absolutely loved it, so make sure you check that out. However, I know that not everyone likes chocolate, so I wanted to do this. It's really easy, no bake, only has 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 ingredients, and at a time when grocery stores are not well stocked, I think this is a good option. I have one 25-ounce package of vanilla cream sandwich cookies. You can use golden Oreos or any other vanilla sandwich cookie that you want. Honestly, you will not need this many. I think you would be okay with about 14 ounces. I have one 14.3 ounce of dulce de leche, which is a type of milk caramel from Latin America, very popular in Argentina. If you do not have dulce de leche, you can boil a can of sweetened condensed milk for 3.5 hours and it will turn out nice and thick like this. You want dulce de leche that is thick so that it will not be runny in the cake. You don't want it to run out the sides when we slice it. Also, you need one 8-ounce block of cream cheese, or in my case, Neuchâtel cheese. Lower in fat, trying to be a little bit healthier. And honestly, I think it combines better. So that is the third ingredient. The fourth ingredient, I'm using 1 cup of water into which I put 2.5 teaspoons of instant coffee. And this bowl is not dirty. I melted chocolate in it and it's stained. So do not worry, it's not dirty. If you don't like coffee, which I know not everyone does, I would use chocolate milk. Some people in Argentina, they use chocolate milk when they make chocotorta. So let's get started. I need to make a layer of cookies on the bottom, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dunk the cookies into the coffee. So I'm going to do about 2 seconds per side. 1,000. For a total of about 4 seconds. And I'm going to place them into my 8x8 casserole dish. Like I said, if you don't like coffee, chocolate milk is an option. People in Argentina use chocolate milk to dunk the cookies. But I personally think that coffee is a really good idea because it's bitter and it's going to help balance out the sweetness of the cookies and the dulce de leche. So honestly, like I said, you could use chocolate milk, but I don't know which recipe video I'm going to put up first. Probably the chocolate milk, but I'm going to give you a recipe for homemade chocolate milk using unsweetened cocoa powder. And I recommend that for 1 8-ounce glass of milk, you use 2 to 3 teaspoons of unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm going to recommend for this you use 3 because then it won't be quite as sweet, and I think it's going to be better. I know using chocolate milk kind of defeats the purpose of avoiding chocolate, but it is an option. Another thing that I think might work out is taking some warm milk and putting some molasses in it, especially a darker molasses like a blackstrap molasses that's not as sweet. And then that way you wouldn't be putting chocolate into something that is not supposed to be chocolate. But like I said, I think, in my opinion, a liquid, or you could just use milk. You just use regular milk. I've heard of people doing that as well. But I, as a chef, I like to combine sweet with something that's not sweet. So like sweet and sour, or sweet and bitter, or sweet and salty. So that is especially why I would go with coffee or really dark chocolate milk. Or maybe molasses milk. Now that the first layer is done, it's time to work on the filling. I did not get my cream cheese out of the refrigerator early enough, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the microwave for about 10 seconds, increments of 10 seconds until it's soft, and then I will bring you back. I finished softening the cream cheese. It was in the microwave on high for a total of 22 seconds, and it's not totally softened, but I think it's going to be okay. Now I'm going to take my dulce de leche. I'm going to scoop that out of the can, and I'm going to mix these two together. Honestly, I've always just used elbow grease when I make chocotorta, but if your cream cheese is really soft, I'm sure you could use an electric mixer or a countertop stand mixer if you really want. But a lot of times, a lot of things that make life more convenient or easier later on just make it more difficult in terms of having to clean up. So I don't like cleaning food processors and things like that. So like I said, you could use a mixer, but I think a fork and a spoon is easy enough. So I'm going to blend these two together, and then I will bring you back. I just finished combining the dulce de leche and cream cheese filling. Done in just a few minutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of this and I am going to put it over the first layer of cookies. One thing I did want to say is that if you have a lot of cookies, not 14 ounces, but if you have a big package like this one, what you can do in the holes here is you can take a cookie, break it into fourths, and then squish it into the holes between the larger cookies like that. If you have just 14 ounces, then you're probably not going to have enough cookies to do that. But if you have a big package like I do, you can. I honestly don't think it's 100% necessary, but I wanted to show you that. If you want it to be more of a solid cake, you can do that. And notice how I am putting the filling in blobs, for lack of a better way of describing it. I'm not just putting it all in one location, because if you put it all in one location, you're going to have to work really hard to spread it out. And these cookies have been really softened by the coffee, so they're kind of crumbly. And if you have to spread it out a lot, you are going to break up the cookies, or at least it's going to be easier to break up the cookies. But by putting it down a little bit there, a little bit there, it's going to be a lot easier. Feel free to move the casserole dish around, make it easier to spread out the filling. This next step is totally optional, but I like to add a little bit of salt to this because I think salted caramel is good. I'm just going to do a little bit of salt like that, barely anything. If you're new to cooking and you're scared of adding salt to this, that's totally fine. I think it's optional, but like I said, I like salted caramel. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the second layer. I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm just going to take some cookies, dunk them into the coffee for a total of maybe 3 to 4 seconds. And I'm going to put them on top of the first layer of filling. And then once I have the second layer of cookies, I'm going to put on the second layer of filling, a sprinkling of salt. Then I will put it into the refrigerator and it will be done. Honestly, I think I will give this a name in Spanish. Vainilla is vanilla in Spanish, and a lot of the Argentine, well, I really shouldn't say a lot, but in Argentina, the original inspiration for this recipe is Chocotorta, and it fits with Oreo's Chocotorta de Oreo, and the Choco stands for chocolate, so I'm going to call this Vainilla Torta. I know I have some viewers from Argentina, so let me know what you think of Vainilla Torta. There are other versions of no-bake tortas in Argentina. You could have, what's it called? Chocotorta, which is with coconut cookies. And I experimented with, I think they're called Samoas or Samosas, the Girl Scout cookies. So you may be seeing that soon. I think this no-bake cookie cake is a really good concept. So I'm going to be playing with it in the future. I think it's something that a lot of people, once they give it a try, they'll really like, just because of how easy it is. I finished the second layer of cookies, and as you can see, I put in a couple cookie bits just to show you what to do if you want to make a solid second layer. Now the rest of the dulce de leche and cream cheese filling, I'm going to put that on top. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt. And then it will go covered. Will go into the refrigerator covered for at least 3 hours. Do not be tempted to eat this before that. I have made Chocotorta just to see how it changes over the 3 hours. And by the 3rd hour, the flavors are a lot more intertwined and the flavors just change. If you try a piece after 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours, the difference is quite stark. So resist the temptation and do not eat it until the 3 hours are up. The no-bake caramel cookie cake is now complete. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Put on the top, and now into the refrigerator it goes for at least 3 hours. It has now been 3 hours, and I'm going to serve my caramel cookie cake. To add a bit of texture and a bit of crunch, I'm going to crush some cookies on top. I honestly don't think that this is absolutely required, but I think that the contrast in textures is going to be nice. I would save 2 to 3 sandwich cookies to crumble on the top. It's now time to serve my no-bake cookie caramel cake. I crumbled 3 cookies on top. Like I said, 2 to 3. I take my spatula. With any cake or pie, the first piece is always the hardest to have come out nicely. The best way to do this, I think maybe just go like this. excuse me, my knife and scrape it off like that. That looks delicious. You can see the layers and everything. I am going to take some pictures and then I'm going to try it. Now it's time to actually try it. Zoom in. Like I said, the first piece is always the hardest to get out nicely. So I did the best I could, but you can definitely see the layers of the dulce de leche cream cheese and the cookies. Let's give it a try. This is fantastic. Of all the Chocotorta versions that I've made so far, this is the best one when compared to the original. It's not super sweet. It's caramelly. I think the caramel comes through much better with this one because you don't have the chocolate. Not that chocolate is bad, but with the original Chocotorta, the chocolate is definitely fairly strong, but this is a really good balance of vanilla and caramel. I don't really taste the coffee at all, so if you're not a coffee person, I think you'll like it. Like I said in the, what am I trying to say? Like I said earlier in the video while I was making it, you could use a dark chocolate milk, but then you're adding chocolate to this, or maybe molasses and some more milk. But honestly, I would not be afraid of the coffee. I think this is absolutely fantastic. I will be making this again. Like I said, so far, this is the best version of Chocotorta. Absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for an easy no-bake cake, I think you should give this a try. And it's perfect nowadays if you're having trouble finding flour or sugar or milk or flour. This is something you can make. Seems like cookies are pretty easy to find. One thing I did want to say is I thought about vainilla torta, and that might not be the best name because in Argentina, vainillas are ladyfingers. So I'm not quite sure what to call this in Spanish. Whatever you call it, it's delicious. Please give this a try if you like Chocotorta and you want something that's not chocolatey, but really vanilla-y and caramelly. This reminds me of a caramel frosting, like on a caramel cake that has that vanilla in it. Very excellent, very delicious. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Like I said, if you want to try something new, try this.